Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Lariviere. I'm the general manager of the FLATO Markham Theater. And this afternoon, I'm actually humbled to host this conversation with two iconic Canadian creators and performers that have made really tremendous impact on people's lives all over the world. The first guest, she's been named as one of the 25 greatest Canadian singers ever by CBC Music. She's been dubbed the Canadian Queen of R&B Soul. As a platinum-selling recording artist, her music career has yielded multiple singles reaching to top 10 pop, R&B, and dance music charts. She's taken home Juno and Gemini Awards, earned innumerable industry accolades, and was hand-selected to sing for the Queen of England. Jully Black is a major presence in the Canadian media and entertainment industry, and as the former host and correspondent for CTV's E-Talk, she was chosen to interview global megastars. She's also appeared in many films, television shows, and on stage at the theater. So welcome, Jully Black. And my other guest
Hi.
is really, hey, Jully. Great to see you.
You too.
He's really produced many great classic hits, as Sometimes When We Touch, talk about 5 million plus spins in America alone, has been covered by hundreds of artists around the world, and really nominated the best male vocal at the Grammys, winner of a Grammy Awards as a co-producer of Seduces Me on Celine Dion's 30 million plus selling Falling Into You album, winner of 5 Juno Awards, as well as the coveted Harold Moon Award, recently inductee to the Canadian Lifetime Songwriting Achievement Award. And I'm very happy to welcome today Dan Hill as well. Good afternoon, Dan.
Such a pleasure to be here with you, Eric, and of course with you, Jully.
Hey, Dan.
So it's so great to have both of you together. I think this is going to be really fantastic. I want to start just to get the conversation going to talk about your friendship. I believe you know each other for a long time. So how did you guys each other meet?
I'll let Jully lead with this one.
Oh my goodness, how did we meet? Are we going back Warner Chapel, Anne-Marie Smith? I'm trying to see if we're going back. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. That's exactly.
Yeah. Me as a brand new writer. This might have been late 90s, early 2000s.
I'd say late 90s.
Late 90s, definitely late 90s.
I would say 97, actually.
Yeah. And being able to be, under Dan's tutelage and just become his little sister, buddy, and it's just nice to get to know the humanity of him, the man behind the music, beside the music, in front of the music, on top of the music. What really, Dan, and this is actually really special for me to even say this to you right now, is being able to read your book and being able to do the forward. That I remember being on the Stairmaster reading that book and just the tears and all the emotions that came up. And so I am my father's son, and that book just changed my life. So we don't have enough time to tell our true love story. Well, here we are.
Well, it's family, really.
Yeah.
It transcends a professional relationship and goes deep into family. That's how we relate, and that is actually true with a lot of Black and biracial performers in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very, very powerful family divide that even goes beyond the generations, because quite naturally, Jully is young enough to be my daughter, but still with a generational difference, there still is this powerful family connection.
That's right.
And I understand that you have created a duet, and you probably have other collaborations that you had together through the years. Talk to us about that a little bit, how that came about, and the other collaborations.
Well, this is all I'm going to say, and then I'd like to hand it over to Julie most likely. But uh, the vocal blend of two singers is not something that you can plot out or figure out. You know, there's the blend or there isn't the blend, right?
Mm.
And due to just this wonderful confluence of nature, Julie's and my voices just blend so well that it's it's like again the sum of the parts. So I'm extremely fortunate on so many levels to write and to perform and sing with Julie. But what a wonderful, beautiful coincidence that our voices are just meant to sing together.
We need to put that song out.
I love that song.
We need to put it on Spotify. Like, we need to really, that song, Something More, deep in my heart, I believe there's something more, especially right now.
You're right. I'm all for it, Julie. I mean, you're the one, and again, I defer to you. You're pounding out things on multiple levels, so I'm respectful of that. So, I will defer to you on that. But anytime you want to put it out, I'm there. And not only that, but it would be my thrill.
Oh my gosh! Wait till you guys hear this song. I can hear it in my mind. It brings tears to my eyes. It's so beautiful.
And you're a vocalist, for lack of a better word, I would categorize your vocal performance. I mean, your vocals are always like this, but on this particular song, the word I would use to describe your vocals is aspirational.
Oh wow, Dan! See, people are watching like, okay, stop the mush already. So much mush.
Well, tell me, I'm the king of mush. Sorry about that.
I love it.
Guilty as accused.
So the series we're talking about today, like, it's called The Artist on Lockdown, and why we're talking about Artists on Lockdown is because of this pandemic, evidently. So let's talk a little bit about that. Before we talk about it, just want to remind our listeners, if you want to hear more about this great series where artists tell their stories at this time in history, please like us on Facebook, and you'll hear all about the many more interviews and conversations we had with many artists, and also those with us in Canada as well. So what I wanted to know about the pandemic is, how has the pandemic impacted your lives and career for the past 16 months? Is this historic human tragedy, I believe, would have provided to you challenges and perhaps opportunities. So how did you go with this through that pandemic? So maybe start with that, Dan.
Well, there's very specific personal things that I can address. And then there are things that are, I would say, more sociological in scope. But I'll start with this. A year ago, March, I was so sick that I almost died. I was in a hospital in Guelph. And as I was there, a COVID outbreak happened. So luckily, I didn't die. So upon being discharged, I was in 14-day isolation. So all I had to keep me company, my piano and my guitar. So basically all I did is write and write and write and write. And though I never planned it to be this way, pretty much my entire album was written in that 14-day isolation. So that's one way, very specifically, that it had affected me.
Wow. For me, there's been the one thing that so many people say they didn't have, said it was time. And now we've all been kind of given back time, so to speak. We often say in the organization that I founded called 100 Strong and Sexy, we talk about capacity. You can't make time, but you could create capacity. So to Dan's point, like, if you're doing less of one thing, then you could do more of something else. And so in this last year, been a lot of self-reflection for sure. And I really focused on my mental and physical health, for sure, my spiritual and emotional, yes, but I kept moving. I had to keep moving. Fitness fed my mental health, fed my creativity. I started, doing step aerobics and launched a company called The Power of Step. And it's interesting because being artists, sometimes, I think Dan and I are similar in this way, where there's a level of humility where we love what we do. We love our art. We love to sing. We love to write. So It didn't matter if there's pyro or if it's stripped down. It's what we're meant to do. But I know others where without the bells and whistles, they didn't know what to do. And so what I realized is that this last 16 months really confirmed that I'm in it for the right reasons. Number one, as far as the music entertainment business, it also let me realize that the little voice that discovered me at 6 years old is the power source that I still that's my power source. And so my voice is with me all the time. I wake up, it's there. I go to sleep, it's there. And so it's nice. I found a new appreciation for my voice. You know, got on Instagram Live and started doing something called Wake and Worship with my cousin on piano. He was on Instagram at his house, and I was on Instagram at my place. And that's how we grew up in church. And so as a result, when you know, organizations were trying to figure out what to do, or promoters, etc., it was like, oh, but Jully knows how to do this thing simply. And that's why this last year has been very lucrative. And I'm very excited to speak about that, because there was a time where I was kind of one of the forgotten ones because I wasn't in an album cycle. I didn't have a song on the radio, all the things that the industry says you need to have to be relevant. I don't even like that word, like whatever, relevant. What is relevance? You know what I mean? It's like purpose, significance. And I defined all of that. And so this last year has been great for my family. It's been great for me. And, you know, Dan and I both share, I call her Gazoo, Nikki Harris, a business manager and bookkeeper, and, you know, a friend and sister who we have really locked into the whole notion that we are abundant. We're not looking for abundance. We're not trying to become, we are abundant. And so this whole year, you know, I know Roy is watching too, Roy Perot, like, I chose my tribe. I had to do some editing. I had to edit my tribe. And now when we're coming up for air, it's like, okay, so really, I only really needed 3. I didn't need 30. You know what I mean? It's biblical. Like, it was one of those things, I forgot one of those biblical stories where it's like, you know, how many people did you need to go to war? Oh, you think I need this much, that much? Nah. So I'm very, very excited. I'm very happy in my life. The one thing that I'm excited to show up is my husband. That's it. I got my dog. My career is going well. Friendships, husband. Where you at? That's it.
Yeah. Well, maybe a post-pandemic novelty.
Hey, holla.
So you've both been very busy during the pandemic, and
let me cut you off. Very productive. So I don't use that word busy anymore. Everybody's busy.
Love it. I love productive, Jully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here you go.
Anybody can be busy.
That's true. So you've been incredibly productive, and you know how much it's been hurting the industry, whether it's live entertainment, whether it's the music business. We don't know yet when the venues will be opening in Canada. So it's been quite devastating, right? So if there was something in the creative, constructive, productive element that you found yourself as seasoned creators, singer-songwriters, and artists, what would you give as advice to our colleagues in the industry to resume business and to kind of complete the circle as we're going to be open, because it's been really tough?
Well, Jully, would you like to answer this?
No, you go first, Dan. You go first on this one.
Well, this is a time of enormous reckoning for all of us. I mean, there are myriad reasons why. I mean, I could address them, but we all know what they are. So I don't want to come off sounding, for lack of a better word, pedantic. I would highly recommend all of us who are, you know, for lack of a better word, creators, whether we be musicians, entertainers, authors, filmmakers, to really dive deep into the significance of what's been going on in our world, not only in the last 400 years, but particularly, say, in the last 16 months, and use that as a source of your creativity. This is the time to be creative. If ever there was a time to be creative, it is right now. And so to use Jully's word, opportunity, right? This is the opportunity in which to do so. Yeah, as Jully very, you know, significantly pointed out, you know, as one door closes, you know, that means simply another door opens. I mean, that's clearly what has happened in Jully's case. So this is a tremendous time, I believe, to be someone who's creative.
Mm-hmm. I 100% concur. And I think that, like, for me, for example, I'm going to go back to step aerobics. Okay. I'm bringing this thing up because getting on this step, this is how I realized that thoughts become things. So when I stepped on the step, I noticed a feeling, and the feeling felt like I was on stage. Kid you not. And every day I make up new routines. I'm stepping to Nina Simone. I'm stepping to Marvin Gaye. I'm stepping to Bob Marley. I'm stepping to all these different genres, right? So this is the thing. It's what you make it. It's like, I heard Pastor Rick Warren say, if you change the way you see things, the things you see will change. If you change the way you see things, the things you see will change. And so I had a show every day. That's on my step. I started writing my life story, my memoirs. I'm still writing. There's music. I have an album that's ready. It's called 3 Rocks and a Slingshot. And it's interesting that now the significance of that title, that title came to me a year and a half ago. And I was going through a struggle, and I thought about David and Goliath. I was like, all he needed was 3 rocks and a slingshot. And that's how I felt at the time. And now it's like, wow. So really recognizing that, everybody has the opportunity to be creative. And I think that that word sometimes is limited to if you have some sort of melodic voice, or if you know how to draw. If you're an accountant, get creative with those figures. You're in medicine, get creative. Whatever it is, get creative with it. Get intimate with it. Find intimacy. Find intimacy with those things that you love, right? And things that you might have put down because of what? Maybe there's a limiting belief. Maybe it's cultural. Maybe at one point somebody said that's not a real job, or you can't make money off of that. Everything is open highway now. And there's gone are all the isms, especially ageism. I'm 43, I'm gonna be 44 years old this year. Could be only 44. I'll be 44 now. You met me a long time ago. Okay. And I love it. I tell people my age all the time. All the time. These are the things where it's like learning to esteem myself. I learned this from Michael Lozier. He wrote The Law of Attraction. I just did a talk with him yesterday on my Instagram. If we wait for others to esteem us, life is over. We need to esteem ourselves. We need to drink our own Kool-Aid. Okay? And that's this last year, it's been drink my own Kool-Aid time. Okay? Because there's false humility and this fear of being rendered a show-off, or fear of something, not all those other things, those foolishness. It's like, no, I'm the best at what I do. There's only one Jully.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jully, for that.
Mm.
In addition to the pandemic, evidently this year we had past couple of years, but I guess longer time in history with this issue. But many events have shaken our society, more so in the relation to Black and Indigenous people, and it's a subject of race, diversity, and inclusion I'd like to tackle with you today. But before we chat, let's watch a couple of videos from both of you that addresses those subjects.
What about Black lives? What about Black lives? What about Black lives? Tired of being brutalized, the victim of white lies. What about Black lives? Single knee to the neck, body slam to the ground. We belong to each other, and we are the people. Sharing all different races, cause we are all equal. Can't forget there's a fight now, don't need a sequel. We just gotta keep moving, it's important, it's crucial. So get ready, I'm running. Yes, I'm running for the right now. Can't stop. These are strange times we live in. It's like the world's been shut down. There is fear all around us. paranoia all around. There's a sense of disconnection, foreboding in the air. It's like we've lost our direction. There's no one in the streets. Is there anybody out there? It's been so long since I felt.
Beautiful. So when you watch those again, those fantastic videos, very meaningful, what comes top of mind for you?
Well, all I'm going to say is the world dearly needs Jully Black. Yes, she's irreplaceable. You know, there's only one Jully Black, but we're luckier, all of us, as a world, not just as a nation, to have someone like Jully Black.
Oh, Dan. Well, that hit me. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, you are equally eloquent, you know, as you present now, you know, just the way you articulate and phrase things, but absolutely as eloquent and as impactful and as soulful in your artistry. So what can I say? You know, I have to say that I'm more eloquent as a writer. I don't share that ability, you know, to speak the way you do. You know, I'm a 50s guy, right? Born in 54, so typical man, you know, don't talk about my feelings, except when I'm writing books, articles, or songs. So basically when it comes to these kind of issues, you know, I prefer to write about it and not talk about it.
Jully, any thoughts?
Man, interestingly enough, I'm actually the flip side. So, like, I have it all in my head, and I could speak it, perform it, and then at times when it comes to putting it on paper, and that's where I get stuck sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow.
How wonderful! I mean, how wonderful! How boring would it be if we were all exactly the same? How we create, and then how we actually talk. You know, I think that's what makes the world so beautiful and so harmonious, is that we all are, you know, our own authentic beings, and we, without even trying to, we wonderfully kind of compensate each other. How great is that?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And
I want to say one thing though, Eric. One
Yeah.
other thing. In seeing both of our videos, you know, in full transparency, what came to mind in my heart is that, you know, especially right now with what's happening with Indigenous peoples, it lets me see and feel, and I have to just say this with full faith that I won't be judged. Sometimes it feels like every matter that comes up in the media, the other one gets pushed. So it's like I'm standing in the gap and with our Indigenous brothers and sisters, and I'm still in my own pain as a Black person. So it's finding that where that sits in my life, you know.
Hmm. And one question I want to ask you today is, because you're such incredible creators, how do you see your role as creators, performers, along with the role of cultural institutions, right, in tackling the current challenges of race, diversity, and inclusion? How do you see our piece of tackling this?
Jully, please.
I think this is the time when it's going to take those who are bold and courageous enough to be very, very honest and open and loving with the way we feel. And also to know that it's okay to not be okay. And it's also okay to speak to institutions and say, hey, I don't have your answers. You need to do homework. You need to study. You need to research. You need to listen. And then you know, listen, learn, and then take action. And so there's been, especially in this last year and a bit, my mental health was being impacted because now it's like we're book solid to to speak on anti-Black racism. And it's like, well, hey, hold up though. This is now taking from the well, like it came down to like, hey, teach me about your whiteness. Like I had to flip it around. They teach me about privilege, because teaching about all this Blackness it's something that's really, it was starting to drain me, So, and thankfully I didn't meet any resistance. There's one friendship that I really wish didn't end, but it did. And I just allowed it to be, maybe it'll come back around the conveyor belt later on in life. But I think it's a time right now where we have to be honest with ourselves. We tell ourselves the most lies. We think we're lying to other people, we're lying to ourselves. So I need to be able to sleep with myself at night and wake up and feel very happy with the decisions that I've made, and really govern my thoughts and stuff like that.
Hmm. And how about you, Dan? Role as creators, either yourself or other creators, artists, in tackling that race, diversity, and inclusion, which is part of our society and is part of who we are.
Well, as I answer this, I'd like to. One of the things that Jully just said that really resonates is it is okay to not be okay. Obama has gone public talking about the depression that she's gone through, vis-a-vis what's been going on in the last 16 months, as well as what went on with Trump being president. I'm not going to go political here, but if Michelle Obama can have the courage to say that she's suffered, I mean, we all have suffered, and all of our suffering is unique and deserves to be authenticated. We know that overdoses from drugs, opioids, has gone up about 300%. We know that Blacks are suffering from COVID 6 times more frequently than non-Black, Caucasians. The incarceration rate of Blacks 6 times that of Caucasians. So, I think we have to understand that a lot of us, most of us, have suffered grievously over this past time. I believe that we go to our skill set. So that's what I do when it comes to addressing the issues of systemic racism. When it comes to inclusion, I go to what I do best. I'm a born songwriter and a born prose writer. My brother, who is absolutely brilliant, I defer to him, being the hill who's being interviewed when it comes to these issues. I'm very, very proud of him. But my skill set is, again, writing songs about it, and writing articles about it. And at the same time, at the risk of sounding really corny, I feel that I don't contrive to write songs at all. I never have, never will. But I do these days. I'm very aware of trying to show this kind of this sort of, for lack of a better word, this shimmering possibility of light, and optimism. One of my kind of tricks is I start with a verse that's chock full of the conflict and foreboding that we've all gone through, and then pivot into the possibility of hope and love and redemption. I love all kinds of music. I love the music that's being produced by people who are 20. If I ever start talking about how the people from my generation are better than the one before, please slap me. When I do, I like Jully. I'm crazy when it comes to working out. One of the reasons is, as Jully knows, a part of being able to run 6 miles a day or do those steps is that it helps your singing, which is 50% breathing. But when I go on my runs on the treadmill, it's like R&B and rap by basically artists who are in their 20s, and that's so it gets me through a 2-hour run on the treadmill.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So I'd like to put the spotlight on Jully now, and before I do so, my lady. So just to remind everyone that listens to us today, thank you for being here. My name is Eric Lariviere, General Manager of the FLATO MARKHAM Theater, and I'm here with the incredible Jully Black and Dan Hill. And like us, with the Artists on Lockdown Facebook page, and you'll have the opportunity to see more of the great programs that is upcoming with this fantastic series. So Jully, most people know Jully Black as Canada's queen of R&B and strongly identified to the music business. But when one dig a little bit deeper, we discover a multifaceted artist pursuing a successful career as an actor, television personality, engaged in women empowerment, and many, many meaningful charities. So let's see a couple of examples of that. We're going to play a few videos.
Oh.
Death.
Oh.
In each of these cases, you will be asked to assign a verdict of accidental, natural, suicide, homicide, or undetermined death. You'll also be asked to give recommendations that may assist in preventing a similar death in the future. Crown Counsel.
Always there's been people who hold their head high, getting through. I can't. Ain't never been no good finding joy the way you should. Hoping water turned to wine. Hope's fine, till it turns to mud. And some folks go to school at night, some folks march for civil rights. And I ain't got the heart, I can hardly breathe. Some folks do all kind of things, and black folk one day I live like kings, and someday sunshine shine all day. Oh, sure, it's true.
And here we see in this great musical and in the show Coroner. So, Jully, what drives Jully Black to this multifaceted artist, advocate, and engaged personality? What drives her?
What drives Jully Black?
To be that multifaceted artist.
Gratitude for being given gifts that I didn't ask for. My family really nurtured me, and I'm the youngest of 9 kids, and 3 of my siblings passed away, so 6 remain, and all of them made sure that kind of like everybody poured into me. And then my sister who passed away left 2 kids behind. And so they're my Chantel and Andre, and they're my why, and to know that I may not have birthed biological children. My mom left me a gift and said, hey, do you want to be a mother? Do you want to have a baby? And I said, I want to be a mother. So you already are, you know what I mean? My sister's kids that we raised, and now all of the I've been pregnant with possibility, pregnant with songs, pregnant with books, pregnant with theater, pregnant with television, pregnant with radio. So I really use this, the more I uncover gifts and talents and actually steward them and take care of them and grow them and, work on the skills, I feel that it helps others do the same. Say, hey, you know what? You might have been putting something down that you didn't realize that could be that other, that business opportunity. I love being an entrepreneur. I used to, in the past, the whole like independent artist had this cloud around it. And I recognize that it's like, yeah, I'm a businesswoman. And that's where my focus started going into owning my masters, learning about that part of the business, but then also birthing other businesses. I have apparel, and I have, aerobics, and I have women's empowerment and all these things, and realizing, hey, when you truly, there's a saying that I say, especially in my keynotes, that a career is what you're paid for, but a calling is what you're made for. And so many of us are focused on the career, my career. And then if things aren't happening on whatever pace you may think it should be, then you think you're done. But no, when you are subscribed to your calling, what you're made for, that's forever. That's until your very last breath. And so it gives me a chuckle when people used to say, hey, do you still sing? I'm like, do you brush your teeth? Do you bathe? Do you brush your teeth? Hey, that's how natural singing is for me. So really helping to rather than represent music and represent the music business, I want to represent it for where we are on today. Like, you know what? Let's put some new wrapping paper on and recognize that all of us are out here doing some beautiful things.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about Jully Black, the recording artist, but let's watch a little bit of an excerpt of it.
You just get these clips from, okay, yeah, running this like that.
great success.
Yes.
We know, and wanted to know for your album Revival. So, first question: what inspired you to do your own version of this Etta James song?
Oh, my producer boyfriend at the time was saying he knew I always sang At Last, and so that was like my Etta James song. And we were recording an album together. We had 9 songs to get it done because he was in a part of the Black Eyed Peas, and so he had to get on the road. And so finally, the like second last day, he found this song. He's like, it was a bet. He's like, bitch, you can't make this one your own. Bitch, you can't make this one your own. And I actually had lost my voice, and my voice was very, very gone. And so that was the last song that we did. So it was like, I watch it burn it close, like all that growl that I could do now because I have the technique. That was because I wasn't well. And so we screeched that song out, and here we are. Yeah.
And your last album, LP, was released at live shows only. I understand. I've learned.
Yes.
How did it come about that you decided to release to live shows only this new album with all new material?
Yeah, so I had just left Universal Music, and we heard like how Prince was kind of doing music for you get the album part of the ticket price, and at that time being independent, just trying to be resourceful and creative, and I learned how much it costs to really package an album, and it costs very, very little, and so when you do it on your own, so to speak. So that's what we did, and we'd press 1,000 and go to shows, sell them, and press 1,000 more, go to shows. But if you think about it, like the CD costs like $1 to make, pretty much, and so sell them for $15, $20, and that's how I was able to get out of debt and get myself really back on my feet. And here we are today.
Like you said, a businesswoman.
Yeah, with some sacrifice, but it was worth it.
And Jully, you're a fantastic singer, songwriter, performer, still at the top of your game. So when can we expect a new album?
Yeah, this is the question that always comes around the bend. So it's really going to be on the Woman of Faith. So I'm going to really say it's on God's timing. It's prepared. My mom used to say, haste makes waste. And so it's ready and it'll come out. I'm not even going to put a date on it. Who knew a year and a half ago I would have had the title 3 Rocks and a Slingshot. And so what I've really been doing lately, especially, is going in and working on grief and loss. My mom passed away 3 years ago, going on 4 years ago. And so, it comes in waves. So I want to just take some time. I've been taking some time to be kind to myself and be patient. And to kind of heal some past trauma as well. It's just to really do the work. I'd much rather know that I have peace than I'm chasing some release date and some tour date and all the other things. That peace is something that I don't think we give enough props to. And this last year, I said, wow, I could feel the peace. I didn't even realize I was lacking. And so it's so nice to be able to get good sleep, and I actually had 2 surgeries on my vocal cords too. So I went through some things before Caroline. And so I've really been taking care of myself. So faithfully, soon enough, it'll be there.
Well, we're looking forward to it selfishly.
Thank you.
When we recently worked together for the awards in Markham, I just, one of the things I've been doing during the pandemic is to take long walk and listen to music that for some reason I've not listened enough. So just listening to your music, and from a few years ago, and it's like, oh my God, this is very actual. The sound, the beat, it's like this is not like 10 years ago. This is now. We hear music today.
Yeah.
And they sound like Jully Black.
Thank you.
It's like it's not Jully Black sounding like Beyonce. It's Beyonce sounds like Jully Black.
Watch out, Beehive might get you. Watch out for Beehive. Look out for the Beehive.
But let's put the spotlight on Dan now.
Mm-hmm.
So Dan, you were recently the 2021 inductee at the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame, joining the many greats such as Bruce Cockburn, Buffy St. Mary, Burton Cumming, Edith Butler, Robert Charlebois, Luc Plamondon, and many more. Congratulations.
Thank you.
how do you feel about this major recognition? What does it mean to you?
I'm honored. I'm humbled. I just wanted to take one back step to say that one of the great things about Jully's music is she's timeless without trying to be timeless. That's the best kind of timeless. I would compare it to, say, What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. That, or his song about the ecology, Mercy, Mercy Me, released in 1973. Jully shares that legacy, that kind of ability that can't be taught, or imprinted. She's timeless. What she puts out there is relevant now. It'll be relevant 50 years from now. As for me, what can I say? I was writing songs like a lunatic from the age of 11. By 9, I was getting songs cut by the time I was 19. But I studied all these great songwriters. I went to all of their concerts, inhaled their records, trained myself as to how to play their songs. And that's how I became, a great songwriter. So to be in this esteemed group of people who were really my educators and my professors, I'm very fortunate. I like to say, and sorry, in a way, I'm going to quote Smokey Robinson by saying I'm kind of second Jully's emotion. I honestly feel like I'm one of the luckiest people in the world. Just like Jully, in my own way. I was naturally expressive from the age of 3. I'd be sitting there listening to Billie Holiday, pounding out of my parents' hi-fi, and I could even then sense the melancholy and sadness. This is just what I was born to do. It's never felt like a job, and no one's ever told me how to do it, what to do, how to record, how to sing, how to dress. I still access the phenomena of writing songs as I did when I was 11. So being in the Songwriters Hall of Fame, all I can say is, I'm humbled. Thank you.
And I'd like to talk about your new album. I love your new album, On the Other Side of Here. And thanks for this wonderful gift after all these years. This album came to get me like big time. This is raw. This is like at the best level that you can listen to music, I think, and very touched by many of the songs, including 90 Years Old and To Be With You. So what was the inspiration that triggers you to record this new album? Yeah.
Well, just like Jully, without going into details, there's been we all go through, as the author Martin Amis once wrote, a litany of miracles and tragedies. That's visited upon all of us. That's the inevitable reality of life. So a lot of death of family members, terrible tragedy, crushing heartbreak, and so my writing of this album was my way of processing the grief and the loss. But, my mom committed assisted suicide, the way that I processed all that stuff and survived. Sorry, I'm okay. Was to write songs about it. Even before my mom went to Switzerland to end her life, I wrote 90 Years Old, because I moved in with her in the last 6 months of her life to make sure that she wouldn't commit suicide, which she tried to do unsuccessfully for 4 times. Mm. So, when I, for example, wrote and recorded 90 Years Old, I had no idea, because the pattern of my success as a songwriter is, strangely enough, my most personal songs have always been my biggest hits. Mm-hmm. I'm not a formulaic writer. And so when I put that song on my album, I thought, oh, no one's going to relate to this. And bam, everybody my age has gone through the horrifying, traumatic process of losing a parent. So when I think of songs like 90 Years Old, I think of my mom, who was 90, and me living with her in the last 6 months of her life. And a lot of the songs I wrote for this album, I was processing my sister's accidental death, my mom's suicide, and creativity and music, since I was 4, has been my way of not falling through the cracks. When Joni Mitchell saw a psychiatrist, the psychiatrist said, "I cannot shrink geniuses," right? I mean, I'm not the kind of person that does well with therapy. My brother says, It's true. Everything about me is unorthodox, right? The whole things that you have to do in order to find traction in this world, get a university degree, that is totally antithetical when you're trying to make it as a pop singer and songwriter. You got to start smashing when you're young. If I had gone to university and received a PhD like my dad and my it would have been over. I never would have had a chance. So again, music, creativity, singing, yes, running an hour a day. Those are things that keep me, relatively sane. But as Jully kind of said in her own way, it's all about finding and calibrating that balance. Successful life lived, whether you're Jully's age or my age, is about finding that balance. And that's something that has to be negotiated and calibrated every day. It's not something that you suddenly say, okay, this is it. Okay, now I'm fine for the rest of my life. Every day is a day of again, as Jully pointed out, if you have reasons to feel gratitude, which I do, practicing enormous gratitude and always trying to achieve that balance. So yes, haste makes wish. You release the album or the book when you're ready to do it on your timetable. We've spent enough time in our early years trying to put out records and worrying so much about people's approval and responses. One of the wonderful things about not being in your 20s or even your 30s is not feeling so invested in what people may have to say about you. As Jully points out, I have my own validation, just like Jully. I don't need external validation.
And Dan, tell us a little bit about the beautiful romantic ballad "To Be With You." What is the story behind that?
Well,
I love this song.
I have to confess a little bit of a disclosure. Funny, because when I was writing with Donna Summer in her Santa Monica home, she would become a born-again Christian and said she didn't want to write any passionate song. I'd say, Donna, that's like asking Reggie Jackson not to hit home runs. Sexuality has been a huge, huge part of what the current going through my songs, whether it's Sometimes When We Touch, Seduces Me, or To Be With You. So that was me in the throes of a, thank God we can write about it because it keeps us from doing stuff that can get us into trouble. So, there's the great thing is there are no mind police, right? So it's natural to feel longings and desires, but not to act on them. So To Be With You is yet another example of me channeling, these tremendous feelings of eroticism that were just rifling through my body and putting it into a song rather than ending up in jail.
Dan, your songs have been heard in many circumstances, events, movies with different singers, thousands of them probably. But sometimes I think some of those songs are found in context that I didn't know and that people might not know. And I want to give a couple of examples, and I want you to tell the story behind those two examples that we're going to see. So let's watch an excerpt of the first video.
And sometimes when we touch, the honesty is too much, and I have to close my eyes and hide.
Manny Pacquiao, of all people.
Well,
I'm curious. I'm so curious.
Okay, well, this is the hook. Okay, in that song I write, I'm just another writer, so trapped within my truth, a hesitant prize fighter, so trapped within my youth. And because of that line, hesitant prize fighter, which I wrote at 19, there's probably been 100 boxers, champion boxers, who have recorded that song.
Wow.
My biggest market in the world is the Philippines. My second biggest market is America. Manny went public saying that Sometimes When We Touch was in the 3 favorite songs of all time. I saw him performing the song on all the big TV shows like Jimmy Kimmel. We got together. I got to tell you, there's never been anybody I've met who's more of a humanitarian, more of a humble and deeply soulful human being than Manny Pacquiao. So
wow.
We agreed to have him record Sometimes When We Touch, whereby I would sing the background vocals, and whereby in the Capitol Studios in Los Angeles, I spent a lot of time coaching singers. With Celine Dion seducing me, my role mostly was to coach her. So Manny was wonderful in terms of I could say, Manny, sing it like this, and then I can just sing it. He's very gifted musically. We did a documentary together, a video together, and what a lot of fun jumping into the boxing business, palling around with Manny and all his people in the boxing world in Las Vegas, in LA, in Manila. What can I say? The experiences I've had thanks to the work that I've done, it's kind of like a movie. So I'm still great friends with Manny. I love him very, very much. He's a guy that can do everything. He's a gift. He's great at darts, great at billiards, great at singing. His family was so impoverished. He had to leave home at 11. And one of the reasons he got into boxing was to support his mother. It's a very spiritual story regarding Manny Pacquiao, who is a congressman right now in the Philippines.
Wow. So let's watch the next one and hear your comments after.
Have a nice day, huh? It's a long road when you're on your own, and it hurts when they tear your dreams apart. And every new town just seems to bring you down, trying to find peace of mind and break your heart. It's a real war right outside your front door. I tell you, out where they'll kill you, you could use a friend. Where the road ends.
So here's to Rambo. How did that come about?
1982. Okay. So I was probably 27. I was about to be married in 5 days, and I got a call from one of the biggest, most successful movie producers in the world. And he said, Dan, we'd like you to sing the title song of this movie called First Blood, starring Sylvester Stallone. My poor wife-to-be, the stuff she had to go through, Bev Chapin, she was convinced I wouldn't make it home for the wedding. But, this is the life of as Jully knows, the life of being a musician is it is not 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. Things sometimes just happen spontaneously. So I fly to England. That morning, I go right into the Abbey Road studios that the Beatles recorded in. And Hal Shaper, who wrote the lyrics, says, okay, I want you to sing the song right now. I said, Hal, I haven't even heard the song. Give me a night to learn it. And he said, well, you can tell your wife-to-be that you're not going to be back in time for your wedding. You have to explain to her that this is show business. And because she's marrying someone in show business, she's going to have to just deal with the reality that you're not going to be back in time for your wedding. He was, maybe 8 years older than me and wanted to act like he was my mentor. I said, well, tell me this, Hal, how many times have you been married? He said, 4 times. I said, okay. So basically the next day I went in and nailed the song. But then it turned out that they didn't like the recording. So I was flown to LA to re-record the song with the band Toto. At the time, about the biggest band in the world. And they had Bernie Kimball, who was the lead singer of Toto, and they had me. They weren't sure which singer they were going to use. And every now and then his voice would come blasting through the speakers. And I said, I don't care. They gave me my money. If they don't want my voice, fine. Why did they choose me over Bernie Kimball? Well, who knows why. The funny thing is that it became around the world, not in North America, my biggest hit record, say Australia, Asia, England, Scotland. And it's the only song I've ever recorded that I did not write. And so people will come up to me and say, that's the best song you've ever written. At which point I have a choice. Do I say, well, actually, I didn't write that song, or do I just kind of go along with it? Just like sometimes people think I wrote my brother's Book of Negroes. So I have to kind of either embarrass them by saying you got the wrong hill. My brother wrote that book. So, you know, as I sang the song to this movie, you know, these guys were paying me like crazy. And not only that, they would say, here's some spending money. Okay, remember, they're paying for everything, my hotel, and bam, 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 I get a wad of like 300 US $100 bills right into my hand. Like, I thought the music business was paved with gold, but I got to tell you, these movie producers had a whole other level of wealth. Did I think this movie was going to be a hit? No, I did not. You know, I saw what's called the rushes of the movie. I said, this movie doesn't have a chance. Well, it ended up being the second biggest movie of the year after E.T. Only to say that, again, the entertainment business is wacky. There's no predicting what's going to happen, what isn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, incredible. All right, so Jully, future projects, what are you working on, and when are we going to see you in theaters again?
Oh, I know, right? Well, I just wrapped a show called Digstown. It's October 6th. You'll see that on CBC. The very first episode, I played Nina Francis, and it's an amazing role I was blessed with. So that's coming up. 3 Rock to the Slingshot, the album, When God Says. CBC, I'm hosting Canada Day for next week. So you can see me on CBC there. And on Mondays on Global, I do Motivation Monday on Global in the morning for the morning show. Thepowerofstep.com. If you want to come and get your peach right, get your fitness happening, you can join me there. And last but definitely not least, 100 Strong and Sexy, my women's and girls empowerment organization. We launch again for August 1st, but you can check us out with the number 100 strongandsexy.com. And I'm all over social media. I like to eat lots of food. I eat on my Instagram. So if you're really hungry and you just feel like, you know, living vicariously through me, you could come to my Instagram and see me eating all types of things on there. Okay. Yeah,
including I saw an interesting video you were receiving pizza. We're not gonna show it. I won't
show that one. That's a good video to show.
How about you, Dan?
Well, I mean, I'm just about finished recording 3 new songs. I'm deep into my new book, and usually I get articles published. You know, I had one published in the Globe and Mail to do directly to my experience and my family's experience with racism growing up, to the point where in '65, when we moved into Don Mills, there was a man named Gettler that was threatening to bomb us all to smithereens because my dad was prosecuting people who were, you know, promulgating racism. But now, because I'm writing the book, I'm not having any more articles published. I'm just deep into the book. You know, I'm very, very close friends with a lot of people that are managers of the biggest stars in the world or have their own record companies. So I continue to write on assignment. You know, I would say, you know, the great thing about being a good singer is the perfect way to advertise your songs when you're sending them to people like, say, Celine Dion. So very busy with the writing, singing, and very busy with my book. And I continue to bang out 1 hour a day of pretty intense runs.
Wow. Incredible.
You should see his calves. You should make him lift his leg up and show everything with calves. Calves are serious.
Well, we need both of you on one of your early morning workout, Jully, so we can have a look at that.
Well, one day Jully and I will do a workout together as a way of celebrating each other. Just as a way of celebration. That would be fun for me. You talk about a great collaboration, Jully. Music and exercise. I love it.
That's right.
Well, my team at the FLATO MARKHAM Theater certainly love to work with you both, and I really love to work also with Steve Love, who's the producer of this show. And thanks, Steve, good friend of Dan. And
yes, thanks, Steve Love. You're amazing.
Yes, Steve Love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. And we're working with Steve on a exciting singer-songwriter special presentation for next season.
Okay.
So, looking forward to share more with you.
Looking forward to the call. Hello.
Absolutely.
Hello.
And,
chang.
Chang, chang, chang. You don't want me to sing, Jully. You don't want me to sing.
Oh, that was good. Just what you just sang.
I
I think you're the real rock star, and Julie and I are the pretenders. That's what I think.
Exactly. Pretenders.
Well, listen, before I leave you today, I want to remind everyone, like us, subscribe to Artists on Lockdown, Love Productions, and why not FLATO MARKHAM Theater, and follow those great artists that we all work with, that we have the privilege to work with. My gratitude to you, and thanks, Julie and Dan, for taking the time today to have this really meaningful conversation. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What a privilege. I'm humbled. And I want to wish you all the best, and have yourself a fantastic rest of the day.
Thank you. I want to say one thing before we go. One thing. And you don't have to change your artwork, but I will say that I have been, in this last year, I've moved from saying locked down to locked in. So I decided to lock into my purpose during this lockdown. Lock into all the things. So, you know, as you're in lockdown, where are you locking into? What are you locking into that you haven't yet? So that's how I wanted to just leave on that note.
Julie, can I hire you as my therapist?
Sure. It's free. It's free. Anytime.
Well, let's lock this in.
Hit me on the celly.
And love to Nikki Harris, Roy Perot, and again, Eric, thank you so much, Julie and Steve Love. We're a wonderful bunch of misfits, and again, the bottom line, I believe, is fun. You know, we got to have fun.
That's it. All right, y'all. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much.
Ciao, everyone.
Okay.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye-bye.